You're in the pool, we're doing training. Sharks are coming down on us. It's chaotic. You're getting tired. You've been in the pool all day. You're starting to gulp a little bit of water, and all of a sudden they just go, I quit. Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to share a few things that I was reminiscing about my time in Force Recon, or in Reconnaissance as well. So 2nd Force Recon and 3rd Recon Battalion, and my deployments with the MEU or in combat and what we did there. Wild way of life. And as I'm sitting here at my age now and thinking about how young I was and how fast the learning curve was. If you don't remember, I was, long story short, you can go back and look at the video that should be called, What is a Marine Raider or something like that. It's got like several million views, but that kind of gives you like my career track of what I did. Anyways, so going into the reconnaissance community, taking that selection, I didn't have a huge background in that area. So I had a steep learning curve, but obviously I caught up fast. One of the first things that I realized that was super crucial, and I think that my background just growing up, being a criminal, and just having a lot of pressure on in my life, was the precision under pressure, or being able to have stress management. When you're in that environment, not even in combat, just training alone, is you have, and we're talking, this is before hazing was really a huge thing. Like there was all kinds of stuff happening in the early 2000s. You got to think of the people that were, senior, that were there when I was there, was even from a different time. And so doing hard things and you quote unquote hazing was just normal. that was just the way that it got done. So even in training, the training in the pool, on patrol, in the woods, across the board was extremely, extremely stressful. And they put an immense amount of pressure on you and your team to succeed, or to keep you from succeeding, really. And it was on you to succeed. But the reality is we had to perform complex tasks with pinpoint accuracy under extreme stress, with little to no sleep and little to no nutrition. While that you think that fits, like, well, that's the military, that's Force Recon, that makes sense. The reality is that sometimes happens in business as well. You're going to be put under deadlines. You're going to be put under immense amount of stress, and you're like walking on this cliff, and one side is success and one side is utter death of you and the business. And you have to make precise decisions quickly, effectively, to the most best possible outcome for your business. And there's a lot of gut instinct, and the worst thing that you can do is not make a decision. Any decision is better than no decision at all. Because if you lack to make a decision, both in combat or in business, you're just going to fall apart. Your business is going to fall apart. It's going to stagnate. You're going to miss out on opportunities. You're going to miss out on deals. It's going to frustrate your team. It's going to be a whole negative snowball effect. So your ability to have precision under pressure is crucial. The next thing is strategic thinking. So planning and executing your missions in Force Recon were down to the crucial detail. Where's the wind blowing on the building? Where are we going to have an RNS team? What do they have line of sight? Is the sun going to be in their eyes at a certain part of the day? What's the route in there for the Force Recon team? What way does the door open up? Where are the hinges at? Mario's probably thinking about all the same stuff when he was in SWAT, but like every little, like where are the windows at? Or could they have sentries in a window or lookouts in the windows? Like you have to think about every single thing. Not only do you have to think about all the things that on the actual op, but now you're thinking about, okay, if we do this, where are the neighbors? What is the risk mitigation for, the next door neighbor or the town or whoever your area you're in? If we do this operation, is it going to be a bad march? Now you have to think very strategically. What is the effect on this whole thing? You have to have so many different courses of action. You have to think at every single level. And that's why planning is such a crucial thing. And so in the military, we plan incessantly to the detail, right? But then when it comes to new entrepreneurs in business, we're just like, everybody's like, we're just winging it. And the reality is the most successful companies spend time in the details. They spend time in the plan. Like yesterday, the executive team for one of my companies sat down for 9 hours in a private room and we planned out the next quarter. And it was excruciating. And anybody who knows, even my wife, who just has to get her wiggles out and she has to constantly be on the move, like locking her down in a classroom for 9 hours to plan is horrible. But this is the reason why in less than 6 years, or in 6 years, we made this company an 8-figure company, because we took the time to sit down, think strategically, run all the courses of action, make the devils in the details. It is the difference between success and failure of your business. The next thing is, and I cannot talk about this enough, is just absolute unwavering commitment to the process, unwavering commitment to yourself to get the job done. So many times do people, one, make a permanent decision off a temporary problem. So for instance, you're in the pool, we're doing training, sharks are coming down on us, it's chaotic, you're getting tired, you've been in the pool all day, you're starting to gulp a little bit of water, and all of a sudden they just go, I quit, because they're in duress in that single instant. And then as soon as they get out of the pool and they're done, they're out of the course, they've quit. As soon as they are no longer in duress, they go, fuck, that was it. I'm no longer in duress. Everything's fine now, but I'm no longer doing the thing that I had intended to do. I made a commitment that I was going to go through this thing and I was going to see it through the other side. Well, take that in business. You launch a product, it doesn't work. I don't even know how many products I've launched over the last 12 years that I thought was like, this is going to be a banger. Nothing. And then I've launched products for like, the product is garbage, no one's going to buy it, and it made $1 million. You know, like, you just don't know. You have to be committed to the process on every side. And the same thing with me. Like, I had to push through obstacles, both physical and mental. I had to stay focused. You have to have this just incessant, relentless drive to the process and for your vision and where you're taking this thing. And you can't take no for an answer. And yeah, you're going to take the shots on the chin. You're going to take shots in the gut. You're going to have bad days, but you just keep pounding forward. That's why I have that sign that says always forward, because no matter what happens, you just keep moving forward. And this kind of goes into, the next one is the physical and mental endurance. And they kind of all play in, they're all symbiotic of each other. But when you're in that environment, one, it's obviously very physically demanding. I've seen people that have great physicality and then crush mentally. I've seen people that are like damn near mentally indestructible, but then get crushed physically. So if I take away that and I look at business and I look at my own life, and I'm just speaking objectively to my own life now, you take it for what it's worth for you. I did not push myself as physically hard personally fresh, a couple years out of the military. I let my physical slide, and that reduced my mental endurance, my mental capability. The significant takeaway here is you will not do as good. You might be successful not being physically fit, not maintaining physical fitness, not maintaining mental toughness. But what the problem is, while your business is successful, you go home and you're not successful at home. You're stressed out, you're angry, you have a family, but you're lonely, you're exhausted, and you know that you're yearning for more. It's the whole SALTY acronym. You're yearning for more, you have more on the table, but the reality is something's off. And it wasn't until I remembered who the fuck I was and where I came from that I got my body back in check. And when I got my body back in check through discipline and consistency, my mental fortitude also came back. And even honestly, it's even stronger than when I was in. So you cannot underestimate the physical and mental endurance that you need to be successful, either in that job or in business as a business owner or an entrepreneur. And then the last one being adaptability in dynamic environments. Obviously, as a Force Recon Marine or Force Recon team leader in combat in Iraq, we were living in a very dynamic environment. What we thought we came in there to do quickly shifted, and we had to completely reverse our roles and do a completely different mission set and we had to adapt to that environment almost immediately. Well, same thing in business. Trump was in office at one point and everything was like cooking and going good. The supply chain was working, economy was booming, taxes were low, and then Biden took over. All of a sudden, supply chain issues, like taxes are a little bit more, economy's going to shit. Like, what do? Well, that's a dynamic environment and it's constantly changing and they're constantly moving the goalposts and changing the rules of the last 4 years. Do we just throw in the towel? Well, no. I sat with my business partners and I said, we're going to skip all this bullshit and we're going to drive forward and have hockey stick years regardless. Was it hard? Absolutely. But we adapted to the environment that we were in and chose to be successful anyway. We made the decisions and just adapted. Instead of him and well, it's not the way that it's always been. I've always done it this way. Well, now you're left behind. Like, I'm going to surpass you because you're stuck in the mud of the way it's always been done. And I'm just going to change it. If it's changed, change it. I've got no attachment to the way it's been done, right? So if I'm in combat and some shit shift, what do we do? Well, back in, I did training back here and that's the way it was always done. That's the way it was taught. Well, that doesn't serve you anymore. You have to be able to adapt. So guys, just wrapping up, like it's awesome to think about those days as in my 20s being a Force Recon Marine. And then now 42, a business owner of 3 businesses and what we've done. Nonetheless, these things that I discussed will make, like, if you just hold on to them and create a little bit of core values in yourself and say, hey, these are the benchmarks that I'm going to live by, and I'm going to develop myself in these areas, you are going to be much better for it. I'm not saying you have to go join special operations, but you have to be able to have these core values and then be a part of who you are. So guys, if I missed one, if one is just like you don't understand one, drop it in the comments below. I love to articulate myself a little bit more, some thoughtful questioning, as well as if you smash that like button, I appreciate it. And then share this with a friend who needs to hear it because you know that you got friends that are out there struggling. Until then, peace.